and filmmaker Dinesh D Souza. We had dinner a little while ago with our wives and friends, and he was talking about the new book, United States of Socialism. That's out. Who's behind it, why it's evil, and how to stop it. I'm telling you, we could have sat there for days. Dinesh D Souza, welcome to the Mike Gallagher Show. How you doing, buddy? And that was a big intro. Dinesh, you there?
Sure.
There you go. Well, man, I gave you the $20 intro.
Great to be on the show. I'm here.
I was like, I was worried about you for a second. I was like, everything. Anyway, listen, your book nails it. United States of Socialism. The faces you have on there, the same faces we're fighting right now. Give us a snapshot. Defund the police. Disband the police. Dinesh D Souza, what's your take?
Well, this is a small indication of the radicalization of the Democratic Party. This is a party that wants, free health care for illegals, defund the police, and it is willing to condone a paramilitary, a kind of a street force of people like Black Lives Matter, Antifa, Refuse Fascism, all these thuggish groups, and they're out there committing mayhem. And notice that no leading Democrat will condemn this, which means they're privately okay with it. And not to mention the fact that you've got powerful progressives in Hollywood, in the media, who are apologists for these groups. Now, in reality, no community can function without a police, and I don't think that they actually mean that they want no police. What they actually want is a politically correct police that bows down to their demands and enforces their political correctness. So what they're trying to do is, you may say, transform the police in the same way that they want to transform America to create a new type of society where we have to always take a knee to whatever they say.
And Dinesh D Souza, United States of Socialism, the new book, and going back to Dems are cool with this. If you remember Occupy Wall Street, the violence, the rapes they committed, the anti-Semitism, Barack Hussein Obama would not come out and drop hammer on him and say, get out, these are bad people. The same continues today.
Yes, I think we've seen really the gangsterization of the Democratic Party under Hillary and Obama. It wasn't this way under Jimmy Carter or before that. And remember that the gangsterization is not just at the street level. Yes, there are these paramilitary thugs on the street, but there are also what I want to call thugs with badges, and that's the deep state. Now, if you look at these guys from Peter Strzok, Comey, Mueller, Clapper, they wouldn't all be doing what they're doing in a kind of elaborate coordination if someone didn't give the order. It's hard for me to believe that Obama didn't give the order, and that if that's the case, it means that he's not all that different from Antifa. He is simply using the police agencies of government at the highest level to target his opponents and try to criminalize them. So what we're dealing with is lawlessness at the top and at the bottom, and that shows that Trump is up against, a very serious problem of the breakdown of law in this democratic society.
Dinesh D Souza, author, filmmaker, new book, United States of Socialism. My money's on Trump on this one. Yeah, you know what? He's always been outnumbered, Dinesh. You know that. Whether it was the Never Trumpers in the Republican Party, obviously most of the media they hate him more than they love America. The Democrats, the socialists. My money's on him. What do you say?
Well, absolutely. I mean, Trump is an absolute genius at this. And what I mean by this is he has somehow set it up. Almost a perfect situation in which he's able to say, I, Trump, am the person who stands between you and all this lawlessness on the street. And if you think of suburban housewives in Atlanta, for example, do they want to have an Atlanta without cops, where rapists are essentially roaming free? They would quiver if they heard the Minneapolis town council talking about, dismantling the police. This is the kind of talk that you hear in a madhouse. And yet we're now hearing it from the leading lights of the Democratic Party. Also, the preposterous liturgical situation situation with all these Democratic leaders kind of going down on their knee as though they were in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, but what they're actually doing is genuflecting before ultimately the ideological supremacy of the thuggish left. I mean, this is a frightening sight, I think, to see, and I think Trump is right to be the law and order guy to say, listen, I'm what stands between you and the deluge and all this madness. And I think that's going to be a winning stance for November.
Absolutely. Dinesh D Souza with us. New book, United States of Socialism, at DineshDSouza.com. The extremist alt-left dug themselves a hole, Dinesh. Even Joe Biden came out yesterday in a CBS interview that they probably had to tape 5 or 6 times before he got the words right, in which he said he was not in favor of disbanding police. So now they've got this gigantic chasm in the Democratic Party. You're right. Trump just has to stand there and says, I'm not going to let a church burn like St. John's Church across the street from the White House the other night.
Yeah, see, the thing is, these targets are not innocent. In other words, the socialists always target, they target the private property, but they also target the family, and they target religion. They target the church. Think about it. They could have gone and burned down Planned Parenthood in Washington, D.C., but they didn't. They chose a church, and that was a target. So I think that this is right. Now, the Democrats can say all they want. Well, we don't want to dismantle the police. Who unleashed this atmosphere of lawlessness? If not with the sanction of the Democrats, they could have come out early and condemned it. They never did. They allowed it to occur, and now they realize that it's become a political embarrassment, so they're trying to... their retreat is only strategic. It's not actually a genuine change of heart.
True that. No Democrats were outraged, screaming mad at the looting of these left-wing protesters. Finally, you mentioned the burning of that church was strategic, but don't they understand the optics of the majority of Americans strong in faith in their hearts? I get it. These left-wing, they're not. The ones in the media, they're not. Democrats, they're not. But don't they realize the whopping, throbbing majority of strong people of faith who were appalled by the burning of the church, don't they realize they pushed the wrong button across America, Dinesh?
They definitely pushed the wrong button, and I'll go even further. I don't think they actually realize that most Americans know that racism is not an ordinary presence anymore in our society. In fact, if you ask most black people, when is the last time somebody called you a name? Have you ever experienced explicit racism, let's say in the last month or in the last year or even in the last 5 years? So especially our young people are living in a world where people are literally doing backward somersaults to accommodate blacks and other minorities, and yet they're being accused of being bigots and racist. It's almost like our public rhetoric, like a balloon, has become detached from the ground and is now creating an alternative universe that we're all supposed to live in, at least rhetorically, even though our experience says the exact opposite.
On the money. Go to DineshDSouza.com, United States of Socialism. He's got Ilhan Omar on there. She could have been a vice presidential candidate, but no, Elizabeth Warren, Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie, and more. United States of Socialism. Dinesh, always great to have you on the air, whether it's our show in Houston or across America on the Mike Gallagher Show.
My pleasure.
Have a blessed day. Pick up the book. Back in a second. Sam Malone filling on the Mike Gallagher Show. 1-800-655-MIKE. You're listening to the Mike Gallagher Show.